Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 97th episode of Kouryer Podcast. Today, I'm joined with Mr. Nduka Abii. He's an illustrator and character designer from Lagos, Nigeria. And before we move on to these questions, I want to ask you, your room passed the vibe check, like the whole lighting and everything. Like, it's actually the most aesthetic room and environment I've ever had
Oh yeah.
from any
Yeah.
guest.
There's the room, and then there's the studio. The studio is even worse. So yeah,
Oh, yeah. And, well,
I think
yeah, what?
well, when it comes to like visual creatures,
Mm-hmm.
artists ourselves, we like to have some kind of like symbolic element, like some kind of like LED or something that could just like um spark some kind of creative juice in our brain and get things working. Because in my opinion, I mean, it's nice having like a nice, like a normal kind of world and everything. But once you're exposed to all this vista, all this energy, there's no going back. So I'm like, okay, let me stick to what I know now and what I trust. Yeah.
All right. I also forgot to mention an important thing, which is
Yes.
your other names is also, I think, on Instagram you go by Sir Dukes a lot, also known as
So this a
Dukes.
lot,
Yeah,
yeah, on
because that's
Instagram.
your main name that everyone knows.
Yeah, my friends call me Dukes, DUKS, but my real name is Nduka Abii. That's Nduka Abii. That's my Igbo name. It's an Igbo tribe in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, where I'm from.
All right, awesome. Actually, Abi in or Abed, like the way they use it in Turkish means Ağabey, like is the shorter version of the word Ağabey, which basically means older brother, which is
I
kind
like that.
of it's a
I like that
common
because
word they use here.
I'm an older brother to almost.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. And all right, let's move on to the first question. Give us a little introduction on how you got into visual arts and design.
I was a kid growing up. Abiola Crescent. This was 20th Street, Ikeja, Lagos, Nigeria. I think I must have been like 7, 8. There was this magazine shop right next, like 4 or 5 blocks from from my parents' house. And then I was like, I went there the first time. I think it was a friend that took me there. And I was like, yo, what the hell's going on here? Cosmo, there's like Cosmo, there's Marvel, there's DC. I'm like, what the fuck? A kid, 7, 8, or I don't know, 6, I don't know. I was like, what is going on? There's too much inspiration. Where do I pick from? So that's the genesis. That's where it all started. I was like, ah, okay. So design, when it comes to, so that's why when it comes to design, I'm everywhere. You can't really like put me in a place like, oh, he's the concept art guy. Oh, he's the environment guy. Oh, he's the character design guy. Oh, he's the logo guy. Like I embody everything because I paid attention to everything that was before me ever since I was a kid. So when it comes to like design, the design side of things, I allow the other side of my brain handle it. And then when it comes to the more creative side, I allow the other side handle it. So that kind of thing. You get me?
Yeah. And well, I mean, there's a lot of things I want to talk about,
Yeah.
because of your artworks, later on in the podcast. But another thing but before I move on to the next question, I want to also say this, that sometimes, when I scroll on Instagram, a lot of looking for new artists to, possibly interview and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I follow a lot of artists, and people from my circles, and by circles I mean the niches I like, not necessarily my friends, maybe I follow a lot of, for example, environment artists, and they follow other environment artists, and that's basically how you.
How did you, sorry to cut you short, how did you find me?
exactly. I was going to get into it. And
Yeah.
I think, oh yes, I think, do you know Kofi Ofuso?
Yes.
I think he put one of your works in his stories, and yeah, that's
A
how
bless.
I.
He's a
Uh,
blessing to me, and I'm a blessing to him. He's my guy.
yeah, he's the type of person you want to have in your circle. You know, he's always
Oh yeah.
positive. You know,
Oh
encouraging.
yeah.
Yeah, he's an
Definitely.
amazing dude. And actually, I
Yeah.
had him on the podcast. I think it was episode 34 or something.
Okay.
And yeah, and we're here, and I'm interviewing you. You know, so you
Full
never
circle.
know. Yeah. By the way, what are you drinking? Like, I thought I saw you take a sip or something
Yeah,
earlier.
I'm drinking Imperial Blue. This is it's a blended whiskey, Nigerian made, I think. I don't
Ooh,
know. But
nice.
yeah, I don't think I want to take a sip right now. Maybe later.
Yeah, the whiskey, the chain, the clove, the lights, everything. That's a whole vibe there, man.
Yeah, it's a cool vibe. Whatever works for me, works for me.
Yeah, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
like
I'm
that.
just saying that that looks great. The whole thing, like the
Yeah,
whole vibe, the atmosphere.
thank you. Thank
All
you.
right. So let's move on to the next question, which is, were you originally studying art and design, or you're pursuing another career path? Well, what I mean by that question is, like, when you were, for example, teenager, or I don't know, when you wanted to go to university, was like, because in countries like Nigeria, or like, even it's similar to even the place I was born. um
Yeah,
it's not an
okay.
economically well placed, so everyone kind of focuses on like becoming a doctor, engineer, and all that stuff. How was the
Yeah,
whole thing for you?
yeah. Over here in Nigeria, Lagos, especially Lagos, there's most of the parents, well, parents of past, right? The generation before mine and before, they wanted the kids to become doctors or something in life. Painting and drawing wasn't seen as a thing where people would just like be like, oh, parents would be like, oh, I'm so excited to have this artist in my family. We're gonna make so much money. Nope, it's not gonna happen. I mean, it didn't happen then up until things changed recently, and design just overnight, design became like fucking God. Well, not God, but design became something that people were trying to like seek after because the old methods of doing things wasn't working anymore. So I'm happy that the kids woke up. People in my time woke up and were like, you know what? Let's prove to this generation that this doctor and engineering closed-minded generation that, yo, we're the guys who wrote who drew the sticks and stones, the bears on the cave walls were the guys who did that. So without us, what are you gonna do? So yeah, so it's a thing of um well, my parents, they they let me be. So they let me be. Well, there was some there wasn't a fight or anything, but there was some, like, struggle. Okay, what's up with this guy? What's he doing? Does he have a balanced life or not? What the hell is up with this dude? And his brothers and blah 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 blah. So man, it's a long story, but I think that I'm just blessed enough to have my mom, who is also a really great painter. Her name is Nduka Abii, and she's been doing some great work. But I'm more of like a digital artist. I paint and design digitally. So she isn't like so super involved in my style and my methods of doing things, but she's heavily traditional. She paints traditionally and blah blah blah. She designs clothes too. So am I being sidetracked here? Am I still on? Am I on topic?
Yes, it's fine. You can go into
Yeah.
details as much as you want.
Oh yeah, yeah. Still speaking of how parents talk stuff here, or what are we talking about exactly? Sorry.
It's totally fine. We were talking about, how, were you originally studying art and design, or we were pursuing another career path, and by another
Oh
career
yeah, yeah,
path, I
yeah,
meant,
yeah. Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. So my parents decided to take me to school, which is something I had been hammering on for a while. They took me to art school. I was supposed to study in somewhere here in Ife. It's a state in Nigeria, but the art programs aren't really as crazy as and widespread as they have it in other regions. So we decided to we decided to go outside and see the sites, see what's going on in terms of art education, because we didn't really have that on lock. In terms of in terms of in terms of variety of craft, be it studying for architecture, well, we have that on lock here. But computer animation, that's what I went for. I went for computer animation, but I didn't exactly succeed at that because I was held back by um, financial issues. But yeah, I found a way out. Thank goodness, I found a way out. Thank God. I There was some paranormal activity going on, but then I spoke to my parents, and I spoke to my aunties, uncles. I'm like, hey, let me come back home and do something, right? Let me just get back home. So I got back home, right? That was from I went to Ringling. I went to Ringling in Sarasota, and I went to Columbus, CCAD, Columbus College of Art and Design in CCAD. And then I got back home and I started to do album covers, like album art for musicians, DJs, you name it, books. I just started to do stuff, started to do shit. I didn't care. So that was pretty much what really helped me stay grounded when it came to finance and help myself out, because I realized that, I mean, I didn't exactly grow up with cool kids, but having some cool kids in my corner and be like, okay, what do I have to offer? I have value. What do I have to offer? I had to think about that because I wasn't on any kind of like gimmicky thing. I didn't want it to be forced. I didn't cause like I always felt like an ugly duckling. I always felt like I wasn't the guy. I wasn't I didn't want to mess around with these kids who are like so prestigious and so, pompous and shit like that. But I found ground where when I had asked some of the kids, I'm like, hey, why don't we do this? And that led me to understand myself a bit more. I'm a music head. Not exactly a music head, but I'm a sonic freak. I like sound. So I put that into my own craft too, because I bend sound too. I experiment with sound. I have a couple of stuff too, So I experiment with sound, and I'm not saying I'm like a master of sound, but I understood it. So it became a thing for me when I decided to take upon work. So whenever a client comes to me, approaches me and says, "Oh, we need artwork for this song, or that song, or this freaking this movie, or this and that," I automatically know what to do because it's almost like second nature to me now, because I know how to read sound, sonic sound, and translate that in a second. Well, not in a second, but it takes minutes to do this, into visuals. So 100%, every single one of my clients have been so pleased with how I translated their sound, bent their sound into visuals. So that's what I'm really doing now with my craft. I've been a director before. I've directed some music videos and movies for some of my notable clients in Nigeria. But yeah, when it comes to like translating sound into visuals, that's something that I realized that it was something grand to me. It was something humongous, and you really can't find that everywhere.
That is such a rare intuition that you have with that thing. And honestly, like the
Whoa,
first,
it's crazy,
yeah.
And there's people like right now. There's people in my DMs asking me for stuff every day. You're like, hey, dude, could you help me with my mixtape cover? Could you help me with this? I'm
Oh
like,
God.
yeah. I mean, no, no, no. It's nice. It's nice to know that at least I have some kind of like
Hmm.
financial standing. They would pay money, and I would get this thing done. But it's stressful to think that, oh, wow, these guys with their mixtapes and stuff are gonna keep contacting me every day. It's nice. It's a job, so it's nice. Even though I would still like to do, something else, probably like game design or something. Yeah.
And honestly, like the first another thing that popped to my mind, if that's how your brain works, without drugs, imagine if you just took a dose of LSD and just put the music
Yeah.
and just make art. I don't know.
LSD,
Have you ever tried that? Something like that?
LSD. I tried that once in
Awesome.
college, and I almost can't even remember. My guys were asking me. I almost couldn't remember. So I'm thinking maybe sometime down the line I would try that again. But yeah, as you can see, definitely alcohol, weed. I don't do that all the time, but definitely I could try that and see where it leads me to,
Yeah.
But yeah, you don't want to get high on the job because you're gonna mess up
Yeah.
deadline, and that's all.
Yeah, that's on the. I mean, I meant for like personal projects. That could end up
Okay,
in some really interesting results.
sure.
And speaking of results, I want to talk about some of your works. I mean, you've done a huge range of variety of stuff. Album covers, illustrations, just personal works, character design. Everything. It's all over the place, but it's still in like a niche space still.
Yeah,
Now, with that being said, I wonder, like, how would you describe yourself right now? Which field of design and art would you describe yourself as an artist of? Like, are you a character artist? Are you an illustrator? Are you a designer? Are you a jack of all trades?
yeah.
How would you
So
describe yourself?
yeah, so all things considered, I think I am a neo-expressionist. Yeah. I think I would categorize myself in that expressionist field because I'm literally, when the emotion comes in, I translate that straight away into whatever it is. So I know how to translate emotions into visuals. When freaking who Celine Dion sings to me, I know what to do to make her album cover the biggest hit ever. Right? So that's something that I for sure know deep down in my heart. But then everything else, my interests, I love video games. I love video games a lot. I love music. I love movies and the unknown. I'm heavily inspired by the unknown. So that's something. If I don't know about something, I want to find out about it. So that's something that I've been heavily drawn to. But yeah, um, did I answer the question? I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You basically did. Yeah. All right. So now another thing I want to also ask you that, for example, for one of the Like, let me actually scroll up again to some of your latest works. Like the aside from the post that's, oh, actually, I need to also mention that 15th of August was our guest's birthday. So happy birthday to you,
Oh,
sir. Your
thank you.
31st
Yeah,
birthday,
that
I
was
think.
that was 14th.
Yeah. And another thing I want to say is that the two last posts, before the birthday post, is like one of them is a Ric Flair post, and another thing I think it's a cover artwork for Tunde Babs.
Tunde Bab. Oh yeah, Tunde. He, funny enough, Tunde is someone I'm working really close with, and I'm managing him. Actually, I'm managing him right now, trying to see where I could take him with whatever the hell I'm doing, because I think he's a wonderful talent and he needs to be seen. So that's what I'm doing. But yeah, I took out time of my out of my busy schedule to create an artwork for him and his song, and I think that's a way. Yeah, it's dope. It's dope. It didn't take me too much time to do that, but I think it did the job, and he's getting playlists around the world right now. I could show you.
Awesome. So shout out to Tunde Babs. If I pronounce his name correctly, shout out to
Yeah.
him. Is he on Spotify or something?
Oh yeah, Spotify, iTunes.
Yeah, just search Tunde Babs in Spotify, just in Google, Tundebabs. I'll check it out myself
Yeah.
after the recording. Yeah.
Yeah.
And all right, the reason I mentioned those two posts was because I want to ask you, how does your design process usually go anytime you want to start working on projects like those, like from zero to finish, like when you had the idea to the finish? Like, how does your pipeline of design process
It,
work?
it's complex because I don't think I've ever put this out in the open before, but I'm I'm battling this thing called ADHD, right? And tons of anxiety and stuff goes in between, but I don't let it stop the process, right? So sometimes I could feel lethargic and just be like, what's up with my brain? I don't even know what my brain is up to, because I want to think something, but then my hand is doing something else. So it's something that I've had to learn over time, that I've lived with all my life. And I've been producing so much work, but I just didn't know that there was a thing that was holding me back, which is, well, my mental, right? And it's not a bad thing, because my mental, so I've learned, is the thing about ADD is you're high powered in some other areas in your life. It could be your drawing skills, it could be how you read, how you write, how you function. It could be skewed, but then you're superhuman. Some people in in a different aspect of things, of doing it. But but to me, it's just like, huh, it's another day in the day of Dukes, and I'm effing everything up as usual. So sometimes as an artist, you might feel bad about your mental and how much of a toll it's taking on you, but you can overcome. You can. And I'm not about to tell you exactly how I overcome, but here's a couple of things I do. I First thing is, if you believe in spirit, you can pray. If you just say a little prayer and be like, hey, um, God or whoever, Allah, blah blah, look, I'm messing up, man. Could you help me out with this or that? However you want to say it, you can say it however you want to say it. And then next, try to make sure that your environment is cleaned up, because messy environment, messy head, and that doesn't work for most people. It just doesn't. Next, try to make sure that you're not at odds with people. Try to make sure that you made ends meet, and you're on top of the job. You're making things happen, and you're not lacking financially. when you're lacking financially or lacking spirit or something, or you feel like, oh, you're thinking about an issue you hadn't passed, um, that does not work. Sort these things out. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you really want to thrive, I'm not there yet. I'm not Da Vinci or whoever the fuck, but if you really want to get into yourself and understand and really put your hand on the steering of things in your mind, you want to make sure you're happy first. Happy is subjective, but you want to make sure that, oh, okay, at least this thing that's bothering me is out of the way. What's next? Design? Okay, easy peasy. It's not easy peasy, but okay, this is sorted. Design. So clearly, it's a bunch of things that are in the way of design. Life is in the way. I'm speaking like a philosopher now. It's fucking Socrates or whatever the fuck. But yeah, that's basically it. But now, speaking of my process is more like, okay, most of the stuff I do is listening to music, probably watching stuff for reference. But yeah, I listen to a lot of stuff, right? Because that's how I imbibe. I like to, I listen twice as much as I talk, generally. So with every situation, I have to listen twice as much, gain twice the info, and then when I'm sending garbage in, garbage out back, it's something substantial. So that's like a life note for me. For me. I listen twice as much as I speak, right? So I like to get as much info as I can from the subject, even if it's a sketch or a study or whatever. I need to make sure that I'm making good use of my time. Even if I'm just sketching a freaking horse, I need to make sure I have the best references of horses ever, right? And then in those 15 minutes or 20 minutes, 10 minutes, I am studying what needs to be studied about that horse. What separates the horse from the human? Blah, blah, blah. We could go on and on, so just when studying, you need to make sure that you're studying to study and not studying to impress anyone. It's for you.
And exactly, that's actually such a good point, because I recently started like practicing digital art, and it's been such a frustrating process for me, because I'm so new to Photoshop and digital art, because before that I was from like a vector illustration and Adobe Illustrator world. I was like for 7 years doing that, and now I'm actually trying to pursue the thing that I really like, which is environment concept art. And let me tell you something, like actually at the beginning, when if you have the best resources for fundamentals and everything, it's like a steep curve. You need to go to this curve, then but I'm stuck here still, and it's so frustrating and hard, honestly.
It is. I think what might be missing. I mean, I've seen your stuff. They're pretty fucking dope. Sorry for
Thank
cursing.
you. Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, you're right on. I think it's more about studying nature, sitting and sipping coffee with people and just drawing them in the cafeteria. Life drawing, just to see what the hell is the eye like, why is the brow here, why does this happen, why does this shadow happen. You need to know why. The why is that's where you are now. Why is this shadow dropping here? Once you study that, the whys of the elements, of the principles of design, the whys. Why is this happening? Once you sit down and study that, boom, everything is Picasso, easy peasy. well, not it's never easy.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's never easy, but you need to just sit down and be like, why? Okay, why does this cast shadow drop under my eye? Why? Why is that? You need to really sit down and question why, and then study it
All
over and over
right.
again.
Yes, sir. We'll definitely do that.
Yeah.
And actually, I will start doing that, tomorrow because tomorrow I actually have class English, like not English class, Turkish class, and I just gonna do that before the class when people start walking in.
Oh yeah, yo, anytime you can hit me up and then we could go over like colors because I love color.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I mean, it's so fitting for you to say that because you actually have the best color and aesthetic and vibe and
Oh
everything out of,
shit! Thank you,
yeah, everyone.
thank you,
Both
man.
both in artwork and also in, I mean, the room as well, the atmosphere.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And all right, let's jump into some fun stuff. You already mentioned that you're really a huge fan of video games, and I already seen, some fan art stuff like Metal Gear Revengeance, right? And from that, which is actually one of my favorite characters in video games.
Oh yeah,
And also Sonic, which that's also is one of my favorite characters in video games since I
Sonic
was
is good.
4 years old.
You like Hitman? You do play Hitman?
Hitman, I used to play the old ones, but the new ones,
Yeah.
no. I think
Contracts,
no, not those. No, not yet.
Silent Assassin, the old one.
The whole one. The contracts I haven't. I think the last one I played was Blood Money. I think.
Blood
Oh,
Money. Oh yeah, Blood Money was good.
wait, and wait. Sorry. Which the last Hitman I played was? I think there was. It had a mission.
There was one on PS3, right?
Yes, listen. It had a
Yeah,
mission, and you had to, in the mission you went into a cage and fight this big guy in an MMA fight.
yeah,
Is that the one?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all good. They're all good.
Yeah. The original ones, dude. The first ones, when you played it as a kid, it was something else, man.
Yeah, it
Like,
was.
yeah, one of my first memorable video game moments from my childhood was the hotel mission of the Hitman 1. When,
Oh,
do you remember that? Where you could close
yeah,
the door on the guy in the sauna and it
yeah.
would just suffocate and
Bro,
it'll
I was
play the
like, what?
cutscene.
Like
Dude.
this is actually happening. Like I felt like a killer, like a hitman. Bro, let me tell you something. Yeah, this is sidetracked. But let me tell you something. You know those Hitman films, Agent 47 or what the freak it's called?
I think I saw one of them.
Yeah, there were some Hitman films that came out.
Yeah.
This AAA blockbusters starred by who and who? Man, my solution to that is to do a show, just like a series show of camera over the shoulder, you know, camera over the shoulder of the hitman, just carrying out activities. No music until the end. No sounds, just pistol sounds. Bro, these guys don't even. Bro, I could direct the movie for these guys and give them tips, but I just do not have the access. But I'm working on that. I assure
Awesome.
you. You heard it here first.
Oh, so you heard
Bro,
it here, everyone.
there's so much. There's so much they could do. There's so much they could do, but they don't want to flex their muscles yet. And the thing about flexing muscles in cinema is it's a risk thing. Producers don't want to throw in that much of a risk. It's risky. A hitman with a camera over his shoulder. We're just following him. He's killing people, and we don't know why until the end. Come on, man. It's difficult to process that right now, but when it's done and the audience eats it, they're gonna be definitely satisfied. But hey, I'm just a guy in a colored room talking my shit. I don't
Yeah.
know nothing about nothing.
Well, here's the thing. I have a suggestion. I think you probably thought about it as well. I think a good starting point is to start making, for YouTube first, this type of idea, and see how the reception
Yeah,
is, see what should be
I need to
worked
start putting
on.
my ideas out there.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I mean that sounds like an interesting idea, but I know that you're a big dreamer and ambitious guy, and you wanted to shoot for the stars and go for the big AAA titles to do that. But I mean that sounds cool. But the truth is that practically it should work well on levels that are accessible to you right now. Because here's the thing, let me give you an example. My brain doesn't work, sorry, but basically if you
Yeah,
can, it's like someone has a great idea. First you need
yeah,
to be able to demonstrate to people on a sketch, then maybe not on a sketch, maybe on an anime, you animate the whole process, and
yeah,
you're
yeah.
basically
I need to show. I need to show some kind of thing
yeah,
that I actually know what the hell I'm talking about. So
exactly.
definitely, I need to showcase something
Hmm.
that would demonstrate that.
Yeah. And well, another thing I want to ask you is, what are your favorite video games that you played since you were a kid, and what are the video games you play right now, and or any cool video games you recently found out and played?
Yeah, since I was a kid, man, I've been playing Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat. Killer Instinct was the one that made me like, go, oh, what? Super Mario 64, Mario 16-bit, whatever the hell. I'm a Super Nintendo guy. What else? Well, recently I love I've had this crazy growing love for Dishonored. It came out on PS3 first, and then it's on PS4 now. Bethesda game. Bethesda. It's a Bethesda game.
Bethesda.
Dishonored. Yeah. What's it called?
Bethesda.
Bethesda.
Yeah,
Thank you. Yeah.
you're welcome.
I love Dishonored. Like it's my number one game in my heart right now because I've been such a what's it called? Yes, stealth freak for so
Mm,
long. I love stealth. The
same.
stealth genre of gaming and design. I love the sniper games. I love that so much because it's the closest thing to reality to be like, oh, these guys really can't see me. Can they see me? No. The programmers are like, no, they can't see you. And yeah, as long as they're not looking in my direction, they can't see me. So it gives me this rush of almost the same rush I get from playing Need for Speed games, of speed. It gives me this rush like, oh my god, I'm invincible. They probably know I'm here, but they don't know where I am. You know, so it gives me this rush like, whew, okay, this isn't no Pokemon game. This isn't Digimon. This isn't Mortal Kombat. We're not. He can't see me, but they're aware of my presence. But I can defeat them with the fear. So it's like, oh, so it's not even a video game anymore. It's a real thing. They're afraid of me and my presence while I tear it up. So that's why I love stealth so freaking hard. It's so cool. I still like the GTA's, the Red Dead's and stuff. The sandbox is the shit. But when it comes to stealth, even on mobile, stealth is insane. I feel so invincible to me.
And please don't tell me you haven't played Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain.
I did, but I
Awesome.
didn't beat. Yeah, I didn't beat that. But let me make you happy. All
All
right,
right, all right.
let me make you really happy. I did beat MGS 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Now, here's the thing. I finished them just 2 and 3 because like 2 3 years ago because for the HD remakes, but I've never
Yeah,
gotten my hands on the first one, which I really want to. You know,
yeah. That one was a classic.
yeah. I mean, everyone's been talking about, and for its time, it's such a masterpiece. Because here's the thing: the closest thing I've ever gotten to play that, I watched the playthroughs on YouTube. Obviously,
Yeah,
and I mean, yeah, the graphics were compared to now, I weren't that, much to talk about, and not just graphics, just the whole thing, but it just, you can see the vision of Hideo Kojima, like what it wanted to be. And when
Yeah.
you as a kid that time you played, you would still get that vision, with such
Yeah,
a
yeah,
limited.
yeah. It's so crazy, it's so crazy. This leads me into a different topic. Hope you don't mind.
No, go
Yeah.
ahead.
So it's almost like energies. Energies. I don't know where I saw this, but okay, I don't think I saw this. This is just me. So energies. People could just do things, right? And it could trigger something inside you to work, like a gear to work. So when we witness things, creations like by Hideo Kojima, for instance, it's very different from viewing a movie by a movie directed by Mel Gibson or something. Playing a video game is interactive. It's in your hands. Now with the added effect of cinema, sound. So when interactivity, sound, cinema come into play at the same time, it's insane. The rush is insane. I can feel the energy. I can feel the direction that Kojima was trying to go with this, and I can feel that he definitely nailed what he wanted to nail, and blah blah blah. So he was basically like setting blocks and standards of where he could go, where we could go as gamers and experience, um, and as an audience to experience stuff, new stuff, and it was just like a setting stone of where we could go. That guy is basically a god of this gaming shit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that you're the same, level of fanboy to Kojima, the same as I am. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, the guy's a visionary, and the thing is that that I personally, kind of noticed, and I think I also saw it. Someone said in like a YouTube video about Kojima's works that, basically what are movies? Movies are basically media entertainment piece of media that has a goal of, giving the viewer, the someone, anyone who consumes that, media, an experience. Keyword
yeah.
experience. Now
Mhm.
let's jump into the movies and the whole franchise and universe that Hideo Kojima made. He made the whole thing from the perspective of a movie maker, he designed an experience. He didn't design the game. That's how he does things,
Yes,
and he was
yes.
one of the innovators that did that. Like, I don't know if you know about the game Snatcher he made in the late 80s, like basically an interactive police game for the Commodore, I think, for another old console. And the thing is,
Yeah.
he
What's it called?
Snatcher.
Snatcher.
Yeah.
That was like when 99 or when?
Yeah, if it was late 80s, yeah, I think before even the first Metal Gears.
Okay.
And I think that he's such a weird genius. Like, there was, like, I think in the first iterations of the physical copy of the game, he made, I think in the manufacturing, he heard something that he added a chemical to the, like, the disc, that when, like, the game reached
Mhm.
this level, it would release that chemical. I don't know, and it would make the smell of blood, like, stuff.
Oh,
Maybe that's a wild internet rumor, but
yeah. But
I
I
think I
mean,
read it somewhere. Like, I swear, I'm not kidding. And another thing, like in the fight in the Metal Gear Solid 1 with the octopus telekinesis kit, I don't
yeah.
guy, you had to actually, like, plug out your controller and, switch it to other one. He did.
Bro, that's what we did, right?
You remember?
Yeah.
And
And
sometimes,
then the whole
yeah.
mission failed thing. I was like, what is going on, bro? What's happening? What's happening here? So it's almost like psychological warfare. It was psychological warfare against us, the consumers. and that's so crazy to me.
Mm,
What the fuck?
I don't think no, I don't think that. But I don't think that was the case. But what I'm trying to say is that he he's always outside the box, so much way
Yeah,
ahead of everyone when it comes to innovation and thinking and creativity. And like
yeah,
it makes the experience real. And when the character in the game tells you that you need then like in the hint of the codec, your guide tells you to change the controllers, and you're as a player like, what? And you do that, and actually game continues. You're like, oh god, what is going on? And you actually get
yeah,
immersed in the experience. Like,
yeah.
yeah,
It's insane. And something that is so admirable about him is the fact that he's a shushin first. He's a learner first. So you can't psych him up and tell him that, oh, he's the best at this. He's gonna tell you, no, 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 no. Nah. Did you see that shit? I saw a tweet or something about how he was like psyched up about Fast and Furious, the Fast and the Furious intro, the first one. What was the second one or the first one?
I don't
And he
know.
was like, yeah, yeah. He said he saw that recently and he felt like a failure. I was like, what? Okay, all right. So I think I have some luck in me to feel like I've done something wrong or right or,
Yeah,
or something, But it was so cool, man. It's so cool to see that the people that we think are gods on earth are are showing up and showing out that, hey, yes, I did this, I did that, but you can also do even more. And also, most importantly, I'm a huge freaking nerd and a fan too of all these other things. That's something that most gamer friends or people don't audiences don't really acknowledge. These are people too, and there's a huge issue with um, people in gaming or new movies voicing people, and gamers are like, oh, he did this and she did that in the game, so therefore we have to kill them off or cancel them or insult them or send them death threats. So it's I mean, it's crazy how social media is building the world today, but it's also admirable. It's admirable how we are also trying to fix the issues that we built for ourselves. It's a slow process. The internet is not a joking thing. It's not a small thing. It's not something we should joke about. We did this to ourselves. So
yeah,
but yeah, slowly but surely, I think that we're gonna find some kind of middle ground to see how we can fix these issues about these people who just like who think everything is a game, and folks who also think nothing is a game.
yeah. And speaking of different styles in games, actually before the recording, as I think you told me that there's a interesting subject to talk about for the podcast is the development of art styles and different
Oh
styles,
yeah,
and the
art
whole
styles.
style talk. So
Yeah,
to start off with that, I want to ask you first that how like it. I understand that it's kind of like a dumb question, to ask.
yeah,
But
mhm,
how does one develop their style? Like it.
yeah,
The answer is pretty straightforward, but if
yeah.
I
Yeah, I can definitely give you something in depth.
yeah,
You don't develop it. You don't develop it because I was informed by some friends and then some fans or whatever you want to call them that yo, you have a style. There's something going on. There's like I'm like, where do you see the? They're like, okay, fine. And then I had to do a little digging myself. I was like, okay, let me see what these guys are really talking about. And I'm like, okay, oh, I see that. Oh, it's sharp. And I was like, oh, now I see where this is all from. back then in art school, I was in art school for like 2 years till I dropped out, got broke, nothing. So, but yeah, um, when I was using brushes to paint, I would pick up this flat tipped. It's flat, right? It's a flat tipped brush, and I would just like to scrape during my gesture drawing sessions, my figure drawing sessions, and my figure drawing teachers would love me because I would always paint from my arm, not my elbow, not my wrist. I always paint from my arm. I let it flow. If you paint from here or here, you're gonna be restricted. You need to let everything flow. Even if you can paint from here too, you need to let that shit flow. So basically, so that's like the whole motor stuff about how to use your body to express what's inside. That's something I learned by myself. Now, but in terms of inspiration and the tools I've used, flat tipped bristle brush or sable, I don't care. You know, was my go-to because I picked it up and I loved it. And I was like, hey, I was thinking about how can I use this in digital? How can I make this my weapon of choice for digital? And then lo and behold, I became Sir Dux-a-Lot. It was a chick I used to see that called me Sir Dux-a-Lot in bed or whatever. I don't know. But that's a different story. But I was called Sir Dux-a-Lot, and I was like, hey, that sticks. Because he's a Sir Lancelot is the guardian to King Arthur in fable stories, and I was like, hey, I know how to use a sword too, not a sword, but I know how to use that. I know how to use that. But then she thought I knew how to use something else, but that's a different story. Like
Yeah.
I said, yeah. So I was like, hey, that sticks. I told her that I was gonna change my alias the year after to Sir Dux-a-Lot. You know what she told me? She told me, you're a joker. You're a freaking joke. I was like, what? And I was like, okay, cool. And then lo and behold, a year after, I changed my freaking handle to Sir Dux-a-Lot. You need to believe artists. We're crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, some of my I think I have like a small list of honorable mentions here in
No,
terms of my
awesome.
my inspirations. I've been heavily inspired by Android Jones, his light language in his works. Oh yeah, and he's still killing it till date. That's a big one. George Hall, his concept art in the Matrix and all that stuff. His rough, gritty works that inspired me a lot. Easy Medrano, he did some works in God of War and stuff. I picked up a book for God of War 3 and 2, 3, I think, and I saw some shit by Izzy. I think I helped Izzy make his logo. That was a while back. Yeah. Who's this? Kotaki? Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah,
That's fine.
yeah. Kekai is guilty. Is it Guilty Gears, right?
Guilty Gear Strive Survive, something, a new game that came out.
Yeah. Oof. Dude is flames. Um, Sam Spratt. Oh yeah, I think so. I think some people know him. He's a god of this cover artwork stuff. So Nami Foluko, I'm just following him. That's
Mm-hmm.
Nami Foluko means I'm following the leader
Ah,
in Nigerian pidgin. Nami Foluko. Andre Wallen, he's a director. He's a multi-creative. He's a creative cloud. Andre Wallen, he makes concept art, matte painting. He does crazy matte painting. He just like, oh my god, and he directs stuff. But yeah, the guy, he's crazy. Alex Ross, Alex freaking Ross. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna say Alex Ross. Alex Ross. He's the greatest cover artist of all time. All time, even when I'm dead, 200 years, 500 years, 10,000 years. If you don't mention Alex Ross, I don't know, man. Yeah, and there's a couple of other guys like Bill Sign Q. I don't know how to pronounce his freaking name. Bill Sign. I'll just say Bill Sign, right? Bill Sienwicz. Oh yeah. Tony Infante is a really good cover artist too. I love his stuff. I creep on his stuff. Also, this guy called Sir Dukes a lot. I like his stuff too.
Yeah, I like his stuff too. Yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
There might be one or two questions I haven't answered from all the total questions you've asked so far. Please let me know.
No, actually, no. You haven't. You actually answered the question without beforehand that I even asked the question, because next I was gonna
ask something about art styles. Yes, there's something I wanted to tell you. When it comes to art styles, this is how it forms. The way I use my brush, right, to draw and stuff, and the muscle memory I have in my brain, everything comes into play. How I use my hand to create. Like I could use my hand to create like a forehead, a nose, a mouth, and in 5 seconds, and you would know that Dukes did that. That's the most valuable thing an artist can ever have. His or her identity, or it, whatever pronoun you want. You know, identity is the most valuable thing right now. I think it's always been identity. I could do something in seconds, and you probably know. You would probably do something in seconds, and I would be like, hey, that's the guy. You know, so when it comes to finding an art style, you just don't find it. It comes. It forms. It forms. It doesn't have to take many years. You don't have to be 45. You don't have to be 30. You don't have to be 20. It just comes because the more time you spend on the job, the more time you accumulate all these skills and things, and what's it called? Memories, muscle memories. So everything is stored in an archive somewhere in your brain, and then when it's time to create, even without reference, we all need reference when we're drawing, but even without reference, you could just like spew out some stuff, and you're like, whoa, okay. So these are the things that my brain likes. These are the things that my brain recorded, and basically that's it. It's really about the stuff that you really liked, that you put on canvas. You can't paint without love. You need to. It needs to come from here. But you definitely can. You know, there's been several Disney animators and artists that have painted from just like their brain, and like, oh, I can animate that, I can do that, I can make this animation. But if you want to be someone else who doesn't just draw or paint for nothing, you need to put everything in the core into that. And then how are you going to do that? Yeah, it takes a whole bunch of experience from life sometimes, and then it takes because every human being walking has life in them and has purpose. Every single human being, even if you were born a slave, right? But now you can definitely tell your story. All you need to do is pour everything that you've experienced into that. Now, the hindrances that come with that is maybe you're broke. Definitely, that's a given. I mean, we're almost all broke. But and then we crawl out of that brokenness, that paranormal broketivity. Some people are hindered by family. Family never really supports them. That's understandable. Sometimes you might need to find other friends that that are inspired by your work and would want to see you succeed. And then other times it could be just straight up depression or pressures in life, other pressures in life. What I would say to that is get up and freaking draw. Okay, no, but you need to understand that sometimes the biggest what's it called? The biggest some of the biggest ways to motivate yourself is to rest, right? There's always time to draw. There's always time to sleep. There's always time to do this. There's always time to go out. But I mean, rest. You're not. Artists need to remember that they're not machines. It's a marathon. Okay, you paint the craziest shit ever in like days or a week, and you didn't get no sleep or nothing. I don't know about that, man. You might have some kind of difficulties later on in life by not getting enough rest, or your back is bent in some kind of way. You look like a freaking scarecrow or something. Hey, all this stuff is cool. All this shit we do is nice, but we're human first. We need to make sure that we can still exist for tomorrow. Get some freaking rest and get back to it tomorrow. It's a big day.
Awesome thing to leave this subject. Awesome note to leave this subject on. That's what I was trying to say. And I think for anyone who's watching this podcast on YouTube version, maybe the video, you could see like my eyes are. I'm not high, by the way. Like the reason like my eyes seem a bit red. So, no, I haven't consumed anything.
Bro, but my eyes are dead too.
Yeah. It's basically this episode is actually a record for I think a bunch of reasons. I think the first one I already mentioned that because the most the best aesthetic and vibe of like I guess goes to him.
Yeah.
And the second one is that it's the most late in time I ever recorded a podcast. It's 12:40 a.m. here right now.
That's my fault. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it's fine. All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next subject. What technologies and softwares do you mostly use for your works? I mean, by technologies, I mean hardware, of course.
Okay, in terms of hardware?
Yep.
What am I inspired by?
Now, what do you work with? What do you work with, both software and hardware?
I have this MacBook. I think it's 2018. And then I have a Cintiq. My Cintiq is somewhere laying down there. Cintiq 16. What's it called? No. It's not Cintiq. It's a Mobile Studio Pro. Mobile Studio Pro, 16-inch type, I guess. Yeah. So that's what I work with. I want to get an iPad probably soon, but I keep posting it. But yeah, I want to get an iPad soon. I've used Procreate and it's super nice. I can't wait to have it all to myself. What else is there? But yeah, and I use crazy software like Premiere Pro, the usual, After Effects, Corel Painter X,
Photoshop.
Yeah, and I just recently started using ZBrush, Blender. I just recently started incorporating that into my workflow. You can see that in some of the older works. Well, no, not older, recent works. You can see some 3D in there somewhere, and then I paint over it. Just so it would have a flair of Dukes or something.
Yeah. Awesome. Actually, I heard that a lot from recent guests that learning 3D is actually super beneficial, even if you're a concept artist or illustrator, because you can make the model of that thing in 3D and you could easily change the light source and trace from that, angle, not different angles, and makes it whole so
Definitely,
much easier.
It helps. But just sitting down there and blocking out those bitches, bro. I mean, I mean, I'm still like the beginner when it comes to sculpting and stuff like that. But it's nice. It's dope, especially when it's something that you really care about. But if you don't really care about it, and if it's like kind of client work, I'm like, ah, shit. Why am I spending all this time on this? But hey, it's all love. We got to do what we got to do.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of what we got to do, what we got to do, what are you doing right now that you can tell us about? Any projects you're working on?
Oh yeah, right now I'm working on a podcast called what's it called? Layer 51. It's a podcast where I would express thoughts just like as such as I've done today, but just like audio. Probably plan that out for like a year, every week for like a year. See how that goes. With my friend lawyer artist, his tag is lawyer artist. He's a lawyer and he's an artist, lawyer artist. Yeah, that's separate. I'm working on building this studio. I'm not going to
Mm.
disclose the name of the studio yet, but it has to do with
Mm.
moths flying. But yeah, it's probably going to be a game studio because I love video games. So yeah, sometimes somewhere along the line, you might see me tweet about stuff like that, or just like tweet the handle of the studio or something like that. I am also working on a whole bunch of album covers and the usual stuff. Also, some goodies for the fans or whoever might be watching. Whatever you like to see from me, all that shit is coming pretty soon. I know I've been slacking, but it's life.
Yeah, I mean, they all sound so incredible, the stuff you have lined up, in the future.
Amen.
And yeah, just do let us know when you want to drop the name or the handle of the studio and all of that. I'll
Yeah.
definitely keep an eye out for that.
Oh yeah.
And
This is the first. You heard it all first here.
we heard a lot of first this episode, so people, you don't want to miss out. All
Hell
right.
yeah.
And the next thing is, what area beside the area you're working on right now, which is of course art and visual arts and design and all of that, would you be interested to explore and learn or do in the future? So let me rephrase the question like this.
Yeah.
Imagine if you had like, extra time, free time, money, resource, and everything. Everything was, just available. In that
Yeah.
situation, what would you do? It could be learning something, it could be doing something, it could be anything, it could be also completely non-art related.
Yeah. I'd probably be a philanthropist.
Mm.
Uh yeah, because like my core is helping. Like I love to see like people smile and see that they're getting on with their day on a good end, on a good note and stuff like that. So because like I'm someone who's like faced I haven't like suffered like the worst. I haven't burned in hell or anything like fire and stuff. But I mean I've been through some shit, so I can tell people some stories, tons of stories. I'm like 31 now or something. I've got a bunch of stories, but no, like my my thing is no matter how crazy or villain-esque a person might seem, there's a story to that. There's a reason why they became that way. And one thing I want to do is build this support system for mental health where we analyze why people turn bad. Not bad per se, but why, what went wrong. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it could be wrong. So somewhere along the line, I would try to do something for mental health. Just to um, teach people about mental health and why it matters in every household. What we need to do for our people, because like I mean, I've single-handedly I had to like talk to my friends about stuff like this just so they could be aware of it. Like everything happens all in here. I mean, you could shout all you want, make all the money you want, do all the nonsense you want, but if you're not making people sound in here, you're not building anything. So yeah, that's something I would like to focus on besides the video game stuff and all the other cool stuff.
That's actually such a noble cause. I mean, I really admire that.
Yeah.
And well, with everything that's been said and done in this episode, to conclude all we discussed, give us a roadmap for someone who is zero in visual arts and wants to get like zero here and wants to get to the place you are in terms of skill set here. So from here to here, what major steps, in your opinion, should they take?
What major steps in what now?
What major steps should they take, for someone who is zero in visual arts, if they want to get a similar level of skill
Okay.
level in drawing and
Oh
art?
yeah. Okay. Um, number one is always learning. It doesn't stop. One day you might think you're a sage. One day you're an olodo. Olodo means zero. You don't know shit in your head. So you don't know nothing. Dumb. But yeah, I'll keep learning. Never stop. You're not the wisest in the room. You're never gonna be the wisest in the room, even though you might be. But you're never gonna be the wisest one. Keep learning, keep reading. Two, be kind. Be kind. Sorry. Be kind. I'm not saying be the kindest guy. Don't be the good guy. Be the great guy. That's one I like. And then what else? Yes, always deliver. Don't ever let there be an excuse where your client would come and try to, file a case against you or say or talk nonsense about you and say, oh, yeah, after everything, he didn't even deliver. He didn't even do this, he didn't even that. What? No, no. You send him you send him a refund or you get that shit done. It has to be done. Even if you're on the bad end with people, get it done. Game's gone. Sorry, I had to rhyme there. Game's gone. The DC, Marvel, Suicide Squad, Guardians, get it done. Get it done. Whoever wants to hire you would hire you. Get that shit done.
All right, awesome. And well, we've reached the final question of the podcast, which is a segment I added recently. And I wish I added it earlier from the start, which is called, I mean, it sounds a bit dramatic, but it's called final words. And what basically that means is, all right, let me explain it.
Yeah.
For anyone who's listening to this episode of the podcast in the future, maybe in a week, maybe in 2 months, maybe in a year, maybe 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, who knows? For anyone basically at any point of future who have listened to this whole podcast and have reached this stage, you, sir, have a window of opportunity and time to leave any message as a human to any single human that might listen to this episode. What would that be?
Yes. Yeah. So okay, this one means a lot to me because there's been many times when I've almost like given up, even though I'm next to not giving up. There's been many times when I've been like on the floor and I'd be like, hey, what am I gonna do now? Blah 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 blah. But that's life. That's life. You don't have to believe in Jesus or whoever or Allah to see that these people they were dragged through the mud, dragged through. Bro, look, if you want to be spectacular, if you want to be crazy, amazing, you want to be all those things, you're gonna have to go through the mud. I'm sorry. There's no other way. You're gonna have to go through the mud. The mud, and when I say the mud, the pit of hell. You're gonna have to go through hell. Just to see that there's a way out. And that, my brother, my sister, is how you would take your people out. There's a light at the end. There's always a light. So there's always a light. Keep hoping. Keep praying. but always come back to you in the end. I know sometimes you might cry, you might feel like, oh, I'm not enough. My skill is not enough. I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do about this. All these other guys are killing shit. They're balling, blah blah blah. I'm nothing. It's fine. Cry it out. But once you're done, you need to understand that you're right there, and you can do more for yourself if you're patient, if you're determined, and if you just believe. You have to believe, even if there's nothing. You must believe, even if it doesn't even make sense. But there's no choice, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, keep it up. All right. I think that's it.
All right, awesome. That's such a good way to end this, a good note to end this episode of the podcast on. And I appreciate your time, that you put on, come on this episode. Thank you so much. And also thank you to anyone who tuned in and listened to this episode, whether on Spotify, Castbox, the audio platforms or the video platforms on YouTube. I appreciate each and every one of you. And if there's on any platform, whether it's Instagram, Castbox, or YouTube, anywhere that basically has a comment section, all right? Write down if you have any criticism or suggestion or anything, please do write it, or you could even send it to me on DMs as well. I mean, just hit it, just do let me know. Thank you so much. And by the way, just a little bit of surprise and a sneak peek. This was episode 97 and episode 98 and 99 and 100, which 100th episode is the conclusion of the season 1 of the podcast, are already booked. Wow. So yeah, season 2 is about to begin soon. So, stay tuned for that. There's going to be a lot of changes. Man. Thanks, man. And there's going to be, a lot of changes. And I think a contest or a giveaway or something, to the fans of the podcast, I'll do it myself for the conclusion.
Can I celebrate now? Can I celebrate?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. I just have some water left, so I'm just going to cheers,
Cheers, man.
Yeah. And cheers. Where can people contact you if they had any questions? Is your Instagram okay? Instagram DMs?
Oh, for sure. Definitely. Yeah.
All right. Awesome. I'll put it in the captions as well. So again, thank you to anyone who tuned in, and thank you, sir, for again coming by. Stay safe, everyone. See you next episode. Bye.
It's been a pleasure, my bro. Easy.